There's someone in your life who barely speaks in group conversations. They sit back. They observe. They smile at the right moments. And when they finally do say something, the entire room goes quiet. Not because they're loud, but because what they said just hit differently. You've probably called them quiet or reserved. Maybe even a little strange. But here's what nobody tells you about that person. Their silence isn't emptiness. It's a storm with a locked door. And today, we're opening that door. In this video, we're going inside the psychological world of profound thinkers. Not the myth. Not the movie version. The real experience, what it actually feels like to process the world at a depth most people never reach. By the end of this, you'll either understand someone in your life in a completely new way, or you'll finally have the words for something you've felt your whole life but could never explain. Let's go. Most people move through the world like they're reading headlines. Quick scan. Main point. Move on. But a profound thinker? They read every single footnote. In cognitive psychology, researchers have studied something called depth of processing. The idea is simple. Not every brain encodes information the same way. Some minds process on the surface level. Input comes in, a quick response goes out. But other minds, they pull every new piece of information downward. Deeper. Connecting it to things they learned 3 years ago. Linking it to emotions they haven't fully named yet. Running it through questions most people would never think to ask. It's not that profound thinkers are trying to be different. Their operating system just runs on a different architecture. Think of it this way. Most minds are like a Google search. Type something in, get a fast answer, close the tab. A profound thinker's mind is like a research library that never closes. You walk in asking one question and 3 hours later, you're surrounded by books you never planned to open, and somehow, they're all connected. And here's the part that surprises people most. This depth doesn't just apply to big philosophical questions. It applies to everything. A profound thinker doesn't just watch a sunset. They feel the specific weight of time passing in it. They wonder who else, at this exact moment on the other side of the world, is watching a sky turn the same color, and whether they feel as alone as they do. That's not poetic exaggeration. That's just Tuesday for them. Here's the thing about seeing deeply. It comes with a price. And the price is this: you can never fully unsee what you've seen. Profound thinkers carry what psychologists sometimes call cognitive load, the mental weight of holding too much information actively in your mind at once. But for them, it's not temporary. It doesn't clock out at 5 p.m. It runs. Constantly. Picture this. You're at a dinner party. Everyone's laughing, passing food, talking about weekend plans. And you're smiling. You're present. You're even enjoying it. But underneath that, your mind is quietly running a parallel conversation with itself. Why did he change the subject so fast when she mentioned her sister? Is there tension there? That joke he made, was that actually funny or was that deflection? She keeps touching her collarbone when she talks about work. That's a stress response. Something's going on there. You're not being nosy. You're not trying to analyze anyone. Your brain just does this. Automatically. Without permission. And by the time dinner's over, you're exhausted in a way that has nothing to do with the food or the time. Because you didn't just attend a dinner party. You processed one. This is the invisible weight that profound thinkers carry every single day. And because it happens internally, silently, nobody around them ever sees it. So they look fine. They look calm. They look like they're chill. But inside, the tabs are always open. Ask a profound thinker what the hardest part of their life is. 9 times out of 10, it's not work. It's not failure. It's not even loneliness in the traditional sense. It's this. Feeling genuinely understood by another person. Here's why connection is complicated for them. When a profound thinker lets someone in, really in, they don't just share surface-level information. They don't do small talk as a warm-up that eventually leads somewhere real. They want to skip straight to the real. They want to know what actually broke your heart. What you believe happens after we die. What you do differently if nobody was watching. What you're most ashamed of and why you think that shame exists in the first place. That's not too much for them. That's the minimum. And most people, genuinely kind, genuinely good people, can't meet them there. Not because they don't want to, but because they haven't gone there themselves. So the profound thinker learns to edit themselves. To show a smaller, simpler version that's easier to digest. To laugh at the right jokes. To keep the depth tucked away like something slightly embarrassing. And that performance, that constant self-editing, is its own kind of loneliness. Not the loneliness of being alone. The loneliness of being surrounded and still unseen. Let's be honest about something. Depth of thought is not always a gift that feels like a gift. Sometimes it feels like a trap. Because the same mind that can see connections nobody else notices, can also spiral down paths nobody else follows. Here's a real scenario. A profound thinker gets a text from a friend that just says, "Hey, can we talk soon?" Normal response? Sure, when works for you. Profound thinker's internal response? What does soon mean? Is this urgent? Did I do something? The last time we talked I mentioned that thing about, wait, did that land wrong? Or maybe it's not about me at all. Maybe something happened to them. Should I call right now? But if I call and they're busy, that might seem anxious. But if I wait and it's urgent, that seems cold. What does the word soon actually mean in the context of how they usually text me? 4 minutes of reading 2 words. This is analysis paralysis, and for profound thinkers, it's not occasional. It's the standard setting. Their mind is so capable of generating possibilities that making simple decisions becomes genuinely difficult. Because they can see too many outcomes at once. And then there's the past. Oh, the past. Profound thinkers don't just remember things. They revisit them. They walk back into old moments like detectives returning to a crime scene, looking for what they missed, what they could have done differently, what that moment meant on a level they hadn't understood yet. It's not self-pity. It's a mind that genuinely believes every experience contains a lesson that hasn't been fully extracted yet. But when that habit turns on themselves, it can be brutal. But here's where the story turns. Because everything we just talked about, the exhaustion, the overanalysis, the loneliness, it's not the whole picture. It's the cost of admission. And what's on the other side of that cost? Something genuinely rare. Profound thinkers are the people who catch things before they become problems. In a team meeting, they're the ones who quietly notice that the strategy being celebrated has a flaw nobody's talking about yet. They don't speak up immediately, they're still running the data, but 3 months later, when that flaw surfaces, everyone remembers who saw it first. They're the friends who notice you're not okay before you've admitted it to yourself. They're the ones who ask the question that reframes an entire conversation. They're the ones who sit with complexity instead of running from it, and because they can sit with it, they can eventually understand it in ways others can't. History is full of them. People who were considered strange or overly serious in their time, who turned out to be decades ahead of where the culture eventually landed. Because that's what deep processing does. It's slow. It's uncomfortable. It's sometimes socially inconvenient. But it sees further. And in a world moving faster than ever, full of hot takes, 2-minute opinions, and decisions made before the facts are in, people who actually think aren't a relic. They are a necessity. If you are a profound thinker watching this part is directly for you. You've probably been told, in 100 different ways, by 100 different people, to lighten up, to stop overthinking, to be more present, to just enjoy things without making it complicated. And you've tried. You've genuinely tried. But here's the truth nobody says out loud. You cannot think your way to thinking less. It doesn't work that way. What you can do is stop treating your own mind like a problem that needs solving. Your depth is not a malfunction. Your questions are not a burden. Your inability to accept shallow answers isn't stubbornness, it's integrity. What you need isn't to become someone different. What you need is permission, real, actual permission, to be exactly the kind of thinker you already are. To take the long pause before responding without apologizing for the silence. To say, "I don't know yet," without feeling like you've failed. To care deeply about things that other people find insignificant, and know that your caring is not weakness. It's your signal. You're not broken. You're just running a program the world hasn't caught up to yet. We live in a culture that rewards speed over accuracy, volume over reflection, confidence over nuance. But the world doesn't change because of people who react fastest. It changes because of people who think deepest. If this video felt like it was written about you, or for someone you love, drop a comment below. Tell me, what's the thought you've never been able to fully explain to anyone else? I read every single one. If this resonated, share it with one person who needs to hear it. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do for a deep thinker is simply say, I see you. Subscribe for more content that goes beneath the surface. And next week, we're going into something that will genuinely challenge how you see human behavior. You won't want to miss it. I'll see you there.